For those of you just arriving, we're going to wait till like another minute before we really start. And there's quite a few more people than were here last time, so it's kind of good to see. I'm going to put a link to the agenda in the chat box. And there's a place for you to sign in there if you wish.
Does that mean I can ask a question that's not on the agenda?
Absolutely, and you can even add it to the agenda if you like right now, if you want to go in there. The
No,
agenda
Alex
is
sent me an email and I don't want to have to email him back since he's here. Hi, Alex. I'm Trevor from Main Library Alliance down in New Jersey. So that's essentially what we're already doing with the transport cost matrix. I just wanted to double check. Does the item patron hold priority still work in conjunction with that, or does it have to be one or the other?
I think it has to be one or the other.
Okay,
Don't quote me though.
too late. We're recorded.
And welcome to the fold, Trevor.
Well, since we're already
Thank
talking
you.
about stuff, let's get started. For those of you that have never been here before, hi, I'm George. This is the koha-US Consortium Special Interest Group. So welcome to everybody new. And I'll post the link to the agenda again if anybody just popped in and didn't get to see it yet. There's an agenda there. This is an ongoing agenda. If you scroll down, you'll get to last month's agenda. And that's the way I plan on doing the agenda for the whole year, is just to keep adding to this document rather than have a separate document for each meeting. And so Trevor and Alex were just discussing a question they had about the transportation cost matrix. So what is your question, Trevor? And maybe we can just start with that because some of us here have experience with that.
Yeah,
I'm
let the
trying
group
to
name
look
have
up
everyone.
the two system preferences that uh I'm referencing. But so, if there is a consortium of 41 libraries and they're all single branches except for one of them, which has two branches, the holds priority for like, this is my item, it should go to my patron first, does not include the branch. So an item checked in from the branch will say, is there anything from this specific location, but not necessarily my sister location before I check the rest of the consortia. And I know you can set up the transport cost matrix to try and make that happen a little more. So like if it's checked in at the branch, then it's going to check for anything that's being picked up at the home primary library first. But then what if that item from the branch is checked in all the way across the consortium? Like, will it still check? Are there any patrons from my home library first before then consulting the transport cost matrix? And Alex said no.
And I think that he's right today. So what happens is, I think what you're trying to ask is, so I've got branches and I've got two of these branches are connected. They're part of the same district. And what you want is you want local hold priority to apply to everybody in that district first. And then once all of the holds have been filled in that district, then you want the hold to be filled at all other branches. And as of today, Koha doesn't do that, and the transportation cost matrix has nothing to do with that. Further down on the agenda, Jason has already put this in the chat box. There's a feature, bug 20747, which is in testing right now, that will add this feature to Koha, that will add exactly what you want it to do. It's sponsored by my library, Northeast Kansas Library System, and I think it's co-sponsored by
Clams.
Clams, yeah, the one that Brendan's a part of. I hate saying I I don't like saying there's a library named clams. Something about it just, I don't know. So what this patch will do, which it's been signed off already.
Thank you,
Um,
Jason.
so what this patch will do when it's added to Koha is it will do exactly what you want it to do, where it'll say fill it, and it can be set up in different ways. So the way that Clams wants to set it up is they want to say fill all the holds at this library first, and then fill all the holds in this district second, and then fill all other holds third. What NEKLS wants is we want it to say fill all the holds in the district first, and then fill all the holds in the rest of the system second. So it's not available today in Koha, but if the work can get done on this before May, it might be in the next version, right, Lisette?
Yeah, and we have someone who is gonna look at it to QA tomorrow, but they're not familiar with the preference, so if they'll have to do some reading up on it. So hopefully I can meet with him if he has questions, since I am very familiar with this preference now. I don't think that the transport cost matrix and the local holds priority are mutually exclusive, because local holds priority checks on check-in, but transport cost matrix checks when the hold queue is filled. So they're at different points in the transport cost matrix currently only checks when it's building the holds queue. There is a bug that I think is currently in failed QA to also check it on check-in. But currently it's not in Koha. So there are different steps in the system.
Yeah. Like in my experience, it's not that they're mutually exclusive, it's just that using the two in conjunction still leaves a gap, which is what this.
Oh, 100% agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. I'm just trying to understand what the lay of the land is right now. Like, yes, we know like that bug and the fix is wonderful. And if it hadn't already been in progress, we would be paying to make it happen. Because we've only been live a month, and already the two libraries, mostly just one, are like crying, we need to like burn Koha down to the ground because the 5 books at this branch are getting priority for everybody at my main thing. And I just wanted to check that we were doing everything we can and that it was working like I thought it was, because I don't know nothing about Koha so far.
Well, congratulations. You just learned something today.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, this is something that I wanted in Koha at my last library, where there are, I think it's mostly districts. There's school districts, there's library districts with multiple branches. There's only like 1 or 2 libraries that aren't part of a bigger district that has branches, like Lewiston and
Clearwater.
yeah, Clearwater. Yeah, there's only like 2 or 3 libraries out of 47, 47 or 48 that aren't part of a branch. But then when I moved to Kansas, I only have 2 libraries that are set up like that. So it became less important. It's still important to us, but it's less important here. But it is a big deal for clams because they have libraries that are on islands. And so they have multiple branches on an island, and they want to share on that island first before they start shipping things to the mainland or to the other islands in their system. So they sponsored the bulk of that feature. And I'm really looking forward to having it because it solves a lot of problems for us, like it sounds like it will for you too, Trevor.
Yeah.
And it has been signed off, but if this is something you're interested in, if you want to also do some testing, either on a dev box or the sandbox, there shouldn't be any problems testing it on the sandbox. And if you want help, you can reach out to me. I'm Lisette at bywatersolutions.com, and I'm on the Slack and the Mattermost, or Andrew also up by water can help with that. Because it is pretty big, so I wouldn't be surprised if the QA comes back and says they want more testing just to make sure everything's covered. So, I can help set up I could just set up a sandbox and then people could go test.
That sounds awesome.
Although the sign-off lines might be weird then, because if I set it up, I
Oh.
have to set it up with a single thing. But I'll think about if there's an easier way to do that.
And I'll mention that I tested it, but I definitely probably didn't cover every single scenario because there's like 4 options in the drop down, the first drop down, and then 2 options in each of the other drop downs. And I tried to like test every single combination, but what I did test, it worked great. So
And there are
I'm
unit
excited.
tests for all the different combinations, so theoretically all the different combinations work. And I did test also all of them, but also as we learned when Jason was doing it, some of the things that I tested I had to fix because there were like permission issues because of new files and things like that, that since it was on my system worked for me, but not when someone else applied them. So
And if people are testing it, one thing that I thought of in the middle of the night that woke me up, something I didn't test was overlapping groups. So like if multiple libraries are in different groups, does that work how you think it would work?
it's gonna do anything in the group. Either group. It's
It should.
prioritized equally. Yeah.
Okay.
While I was doing unit tests, I did start thinking about, because you can do groups that are under groups. And then I was thinking about that, but that was not part of the spec, so we didn't do it. I'm not sure how much. I don't know that there is currently basically there's a holds subroutine that says, is this a valid hold sibling? And just like with multiple hold groups on, like if you can only place holds in your local hold group, if someone's in multiple hold groups, it just says any of those groups. So it works the same as that. There's not currently a function that says, is it in a sub hold group and then a bigger hold group.
So you can't have nested groups.
No, I don't think any of the hold stuff has that.
Okay. Well, for me, it won't be a problem because I don't have any subgroups, so. But thanks for giving us the update on that. And if you need any help, if you have any questions when you're trying to QA tomorrow, I should be available all day if you have any questions for me, since you're part of the development. So we kind of jumped ahead there because I had planned to say, does anybody have any announcements or want to say anything? One thing that I would like to remind everybody is that if you go to the koha-US website, there is information there about the conference. And the last day to submit a proposal is the end of this month. Is that right? Is that what it currently is? Or is it over?
I don't know, I'm not seeing that on the conference page.
I'm not seeing it there either. There are so many conferences and they've all extended their deadlines. I can't remember, I can't keep them straight because I know the Aspen Discovery Conference in October, they've extended the deadline for that to the end of the month. And the Open Library Foundation is having their conference in Kansas City, their conference proposals, I think they're accepting until tomorrow. And I thought koha-US had extended it to the end of this month, but I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing the submission form there anymore, so I'm not sure.
Andrew's email says May 16th.
May 16th. Wow, they really extended it then. But that conference will be in Providence, Rhode Island in September, the 2nd through the 5th. And so if you have any questions about that, maybe I'm not the one to ask. Maybe you should send an email to info@koha-us.org and somebody there can get back to you. So WolfCon is a new conference that Koha might become more involved with, because the Koha is trying to set up a charitable foundation, and it will be a part of the Open Library Foundation, and they have their conference every year in a different place. Last year it was in London, I believe. This year it's in Kansas City. And I'm not sure if they have any idea where it'll be in 2026. And I think the Koha community is having, I think that it's still possible to submit proposals for that conference. Lisette shaking her head no.
Proposals closed. There's two. They're figuring out voting right now. One of them is for Germany
Oh,
and one of them is for Cyprus. And I forget what the dates were for the Cyprus one.
I meant proposals for this year's conference to do a presentation.
Oh no, those close too. The schedule
Those
is
are close too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that conference is in
New Zealand in November, the week before.
Yeah. So if anybody's a hankering to go to New Zealand, that's usually a good conference. But I opted not to go to New Zealand. You were thinking about it, Jason. Are you going to go?
Yep, Lisette and I have a proposal presentation.
Awesome. Oh, that's right, the baby devs one.
Yep.
Awesome. So I don't know if anybody else had anything they wanted to announce or wanted to say, or any venting they wanted to do. Now's the time.
I got one thing. So RCLS is 8 months out of migration, so the dust is settled. And next month at our ILS committee meeting, we're going to be deciding how much money we're going to start throwing at Koha enhancements and developments. So if you have a pet bug or a bounty, you can send that to me. I would like to put that on the list for them to consider.
Cool. All right, we already talked about bug 20747. So the next thing on the agenda was batch permissions editing. I don't know who put that on there, but what's up with that?
That was me.
Hey,
Hi, Ashley. So we are, I don't know if you remember me talking about it last month, but we're doing pretty much cataloging standards. So everyone has to go through a series of training before they can get certain permissions. And I wanted to know if there was an easier way to do like batch modification on people's permissions, to do multiple people's permission changes all at once.
so what are you doing now?
Individually, once they finish the basic cataloging, I go and I copy permissions from the basic cataloging profile I made and paste it into their accounts. But my worry is when we go, so we have a date set, I believe it was in September. If they haven't completed the courses, they are going to lose all of their cataloging permissions. So I wanted a faster way rather than just having to individually go in and modify their permissions.
Yes,
So
there's
Go
a
ahead, Lizette.
called the Batch Patron Permissions Modifier plugin. And it uses lists in Koha and like a template patron that you can set the patron permissions on. And then in the plugin you say it's this patron and this patron list. And then when patrons are added to lists, it'll update I believe when it's added to lists, it's supposed to update it, but you can also run the tool manually.
It does update it when you add them to the
Okay.
list.
Cool. There was a point when I first started using it where it wasn't working right. So, thank you. I'm glad that it's working now.
A while ago, Christopher and I did a video on it, and that video, the link to that video is in the chat box there.
Thank you.
We kind of walked through the steps of how to set it up. At that point, it wasn't updating automatically when you added people to the list. If you created the list and then added new people later, you would have to what I found is if you went in and changed a permission on the template, it would change everybody on the list. So I would go in and I would add an insignificant permission, let the list update, and then go back in and take a permission off, and then it would update everybody on the list the way I wanted to. But now if you just add somebody to the list that's connected to the template, it updates instantly. So
I also put our blog post in the chat
cool.
a couple years ago.
So there have been some changes to the tool, but it still works pretty much the same way. And I actually was using it yesterday because about 2 weeks ago, I accidentally came across a bibliographic record that somebody had manually input at one of our libraries. And it was all caps. And it had about a half a dozen words misspelled in a bibliographic record that only had about 30 words in it, and 12 of them were misspelled. And it was just kind of a mess. And so I moved all of the people at that library into a limited cataloging function where they can into my list for people that are limited, so they can only add items to records. And then when I went out yesterday and did the training, after they were done being trained, I moved them back into the regular permissions for cataloging list. And so it's really easy to use. The challenge becomes maintaining the list and making sure the right people are on the list rather than making sure the right people have the going through and clicking everything in the permission settings, which is what we used to do too. So
Awesome. Thank you. That's exactly what I needed. So thank you.
cool. So the next thing on the list here is transfers to receive showing checked out items. And I don't know who put that on there. So
That one and the next one were also me.
oh, okay.
So on our circulation page, we have a transfers to receive, and on that list, it's still showing. It's saying like they're 28 days late, but when you click on it, they are already checked out to patrons at the library where they were supposed to arrive. So I don't know if anyone else is experiencing that. Maybe that was with the upgrade or just a weird temporary thing that's been happening.
I think there's a bug. I don't
Okay.
remember what it's called right now, but where sometimes if there's a hold on the item when it gets to the location, it doesn't properly, it's like not every time, I think, but in some specific circumstances, it doesn't mark the transfer as received for some reason. But I think when you check it back in from the patron, it should then mark it as received, if I recall correctly. And I'll try and find.
I haven't heard any of my libraries saying that they have that problem, but I also have a hard time getting them to actually check their transfers to receive reports. So
I haven't heard anything on the transfers to receive from our libraries, but we have had reports on the transfers to send that it's pulling, it's listing items as on shelf when they're already in transit. And from what we can tell, it looks like it's pulling from a subfield for the due date to get that information. And if it's not checked out, it still lists as on shelf. So it kind of makes that whole area useless for us.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if I can see anything in Bugzilla, but I don't see anything that has the on shelf and transit. Maybe transfer would be a better search word. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that from my libraries either, so I'm not sure.
I had like a similar but different thing yesterday where uh the thing was in transit for a hold. The borrowing library canceled the hold. Um, so I went in to go cancel the transfer so that the other library could check it in and like make it available again. But every time I canceled the transfer, it would just revert back to a transfer as pending. So I think it's probably a similar thing. So I had to like take it all the way around the world. I had to log in as that library, check it in, and then log back in as the other library and check it in again to clear it up, which sounds sort of like the bug that Lisette mentioned as well.
Usually that's exactly the kind of thing that I get complaints about, but I haven't had any complaints since the upgrade, so.
Yeah, and I tried to replicate it and I couldn't, so I don't I don't know what actually caused it, but it seems to be hit and miss.
Well, the next thing on the agenda is bookings. And so that was you again, Ashley?
Yes, that was me again. And I just wanted to know if anyone's using it and how they're liking it. Yeah, we haven't started using it at all on our side.
We've only just tested it. We're looking to use it for like our we have a collection of kits here that we send out to our libraries and our makerspace equipment. Just to keep track for like internal tracking, but we haven't actually put it into production yet. Probably the best person to talk to about that is Christy at Cuyahoga because they helped develop it and they're actively using it.
I would like to use it for, we have story walk kits, like the real estate size signs. And we store those all at the NEKLS office. And then when our libraries request them, they put a hold on them currently and they get shipped to that library. And the thing that I don't like about that is that they never actually check them out. They get there and they see the barcode on it and they just set them up all over town. And so the thing is, constantly in transit to them until they're finally done with it. And then they go to check it in to send it back to us. And it said, oh, hold arrived. And so I would like to do the bookings so that it just shows up there and they can use it. And then when they're done with it, they ship it back and it doesn't have to be in transit it doesn't have that same process. And so that's what I'm planning to use it for when I get the chance to set it up. But I've been doing other things, so.
Well, the same as Jason mentioned, that's what we're kind of looking at using it for. We have like a youth services kits collection that I think she usually does it through Google Forms, and then she keeps a track, like a sheet of everything of the day it's going to be used, and it'd be just easier for everyone to be able to see it on there, or for her to actually see it on there and track it on there.
Right. So it sounds like in a year, you'll be the expert on bookings for this group. So look forward to that.
Yeah.
Did you ever find anything, Lisette? Well, somebody just added notices to the agenda, so was that somebody in the room or was that somebody like a ghost from the outside world? It's Joel, okay. You're still muted, Joel. There you go.
There you go. We've got kind of a curious problem with notices. We used to be self-hosted, and someone at Bywater set up a cron job through Linux because it was emailed from root at koha main, then that was the name of the server. And what it would do is it would email specially worded final notices for everybody's well, in our case, we had one library that started it, but it would do both patrons with emails and without emails. And now that we're hosted with Koha, I put in a ticket to replicate that job, and we're having trouble with them replicating the function. I've explained it pretty, in detail. But I just wondered if any of you had similar jobs or similar experiences with notices, because this is outside of the 3-notice koha scheduling. And yeah, ever since we moved over, we're still struggling to get that going. I'm working with Kyle right now. I think I'm going to say, please look at our old server. I can start it up and find that job. Because right now what they've tried, it has not worked. So I'm just asking the group, do you have any experience with something like that?
Is the issue they're hitting with the email notices or the print notices? Because you said you're doing for pages.
They're sending print notices for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that way the library can really just pretty much check them over and add a few things to them and put them in an envelope and mail them. These are in our state, after 60 days. If you have items overdue for 60 days, it's considered theft. So they send out a legal notice saying, you're in violation of state statute. So it was a good job, but we're just having trouble having Bywater replicated.
It seems like this is something you could do with a report and a template instead of having it be a cron job.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jason's the expert on that. I know he presented about it.
Well, I think at the time that Joel was running this, there wasn't the template function in the reports, so.
Yeah, we do print notices via a report template now. Instead of, there's no automated process behind it. It's just a button on the CERC homepage that I added. I can show you what it looks like. I was messing with it earlier today. So I think I got all the private information taken off. So this is just a report that is set up to pull basically what the overdue needs to say in a specific row. And then I have it set up to sort of parse out the overdues by date. So like stuff that's a little overdue, stuff that's hit our first notice, our second notice, our third notice, and then things that are past due. And you have like full control over it because it is just a report, so you can set the parameters. So that's the report that's driving it. The notice template is a big old mess. That's why I was cringing, because explaining it is a little difficult, but it's just a bunch of template toolkit and whatnot that's generating a template that eats that data from the report. So it's parsing through each row of that report and pulling out the fields. And then it comes out like this. So this is after you run the report through the template, then you get the the data formatted out how I wanted it through there. And to back up a step, if I go to the circ page, I've just created a little thing here. So the library has notices, they click the today button and it runs and spits this out. And then I added some extra code. So like if they want to make changes to it in line, they can. They just unlock the editing and it lets them modify and then print from there. And it's set up so that they should just have to print it and it fits in a window. Usually you have to go in and change some of, like, it should have no margins to get it formatted just right. But we did that because the standard notices are too like separated. We wanted like a conglomerated notice where it's showing the patron everything they have. Again, it's a probably overly complex way to do it, but it's an option if you can't get your other thing to work. But that's just print notices, and it sounds like you're trying to also get like a separate outside of the 3 triggered notices. You want like a 4th 60-day notice that gets emailed, and we don't have anything set up like that specifically.
Okay,
I'm
Yeah, I'm gonna try-
wondering,
go ahead,
there
Joe.
used to be a plug, well, there is a plugin for sending batch email notices, and I think Bywater had all their customers, they won't let their customers use that anymore. Am I right on that, Lisette? Or there was a discussion that, you know, you should turn it off because of some other issues?
Yeah, we can set it up in specific instances. As far as I know, that hasn't changed. But we did do it so that you have to do it through us instead of through the interface, because we were having people who were trying to send out like newsletters through it, which just because of the way that like email privacy stuff works in different states is in some states that is not allowed. So but do you have a ticket number, Joel?
Oh, for my ticket,
Yeah.
hang on here.
Was that the digest version you were just talking about? Was that,
No,
oh,
it's like a separate thing,
It was
which
an
sounds like exactly what this sounds exactly like what we'd
Oh,
use
I
it
had
for.
it pulled up, so I just put the ticket number in chat. Was
Thank
that-
you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, the plugin was called like batch email, and you would run a report and it would take the data from the report and send it out in a batch email. And when there was some kind of change in the emailing system, and Bywater told their customers that they wouldn't let them use that anymore, is what I remember. And I had it in our system, and I just had them take it off because we hadn't used it in years anyway. So it could be that that's what you're running into, is where when you were self-hosted, you had this plugin on your system, and now you don't have it anymore. When you moved hosting, that could be what's going on, Joel.
Okay, I'm gonna check that out after we're done here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like Kyle to take a look, and I'll put that in the ticket. That if he wants to take a look at the job. It's kind of hidden. I have not been able to find the actual job. I found references to it. But there's a lot of things leading from here. Oh, go to this, or this cron job needs to go to that, or whatever. So it's not an easy.
While Lizette's digging around with that, it looks like somebody, probably Lisette was the one looking for it, found the transfers to send showing on-shelf items. That bug, and I just stuck it in the chat. Three nine five five five. Transfers to send onload column needs clarification. And it looks like there's already a patch written. Or no, just a, yeah. So does that sound like the problem you were talking about? And I don't remember who was talking about. Was it
Yeah,
Elizabeth, right?
Yep, it does. So hopefully that's going to be fixed.
It says signed off, so. Signed off by David, so. So that's good news. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about?
I want to talk about how to bug Jason about his beautiful print notices.
You can email me, you can chat me. I'm in Mattermost and the Bywater chat under JRob. And I do have actually, I'll find the recording. I presented on that specific thing at conference last year.
I'm happy
Yeah,
to
I'd like
watch
to
the
see
recording before I bug anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole playlist of all of the presentations from last year's conference in Round Rock, Texas. And there were at least 2 presentations on the using reports as templates through the notice templating system. So run a report with the template, and everybody piled on Jason when he was done and said, "This is brilliant. This is great. You know, you've done a lot of good with that." So.
Oh, well, then I'm not going to make his head any bigger. They're okay.
So there's the recording link, and then my slides are in there too.
Thank you.
And it's not like totally up to date with what I just showed you because of what I changed this morning. I added a little count in the like top line above the table to count how many overdues are on there. I had that request from a search staff member.
Always a work in progress.
Always, yes.
Well, I guess Lisette's still looking at Joel's information in his ticket. So if nobody else has anything that they want to talk about, we can probably just call it good until next month. The meeting next month should be on it's like May 22nd. I will just when we're done with this meeting, I'll update the agenda to have stuff on it for next month. And if anybody wants to go in there and add stuff, feel free to do it throughout the month. I'll send a reminder again a week before the next meeting and then a day before the next meeting. But if nobody wants to talk, we can call this meeting good.
Well, Lisette, how are you doing?
I'm gonna have to connect to the VPN to look at some stuff, which will kick me out of the meeting because it'll reset
Okay.
my thing. So, but I'll look at it and either update the ticket or talk to Kyle.
Okay. Yeah, there's detailed stuff in there, and if you need access to the old server, I can give that to you.
Thank you.
Well, let's call it good and we'll see everybody next month. It was nice seeing everybody.
Yep.
We'll see you all later.
Thank
It was
you.
good seeing you, Joel. We haven't seen you in ages.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.